In today's video, I want to talk about my recent experience with the 500 watt grinder from Meat and how well it was able to hold up while I processed an elk. Before purchasing this grinder, around 2 years ago, I had a lot of questions on how much I needed to spend on the grinder to be able to process an elk. I primarily process whitetail deer, but had recently started elk hunting, so I wanted to be able to handle both without spending half of my paycheck. The major difference I found in price points correlated with the grinder's ability to process meat quickly. For instance, the 500 watt grinder comes in at around $179 and can handle 4 pounds per minute, whereas the half horsepower grinder for $500 claims it can handle around 5.5 to 6 pounds per minute. I'll preface by saying that the pounds of meat processed per minute didn't really play in as a major factor for me. I'm willing to spend a little bit more time grinding the meat for that lower price point, especially when it's a fifth of the price. I went ahead and purchased the 500 watt grinder from Meat and quickly put it to use. I processed 2 whitetails and I had 0 issues with the grinder. Super impressed, but I still needed to test it out on an elk to get my full impression with it. This season, I was fortunate enough to bring home some elk meat and get to test out the 500 watt grinder. I was really excited. It took around 3 days in total to process this thing, but that includes 4 to 5 hours of trimming the meat up, and I like to dice it in probably 1 inch to 2 inch chunks to send it through the grinder. I think that's about the right size to get it through there smoothly. I think you could probably go up to 3 inches or more, but I found that 2 inches is a pretty good measure of how much you want to be sending through that thing. So cut it up the first day, stuck it in the fridge, came back, and then I started grinding it the next day, and it took about 4 hours to send around 100 pounds or more of the elk meat through the grinder. I never had a single issue with it. It handled it phenomenally, really. I never had to slow down at all. I found myself trying to keep up with it, but I really couldn't keep up with it. It was that good. I needed another person to help me keep stuffing and keep the grinder going. So no issue at all as far as the difference between an elk and a whitetail. You can expect the same thing. It's just that you have 3 to 4 times the meat, if that makes sense. So only about 4 hours to send 100 pounds of elk quarters through the grinder, and super impressed. It took me probably 3 to 4 times as long as it would a whitetail, but that was just the amount of meat. So really no issues with it at all. All in all, I'll say don't be afraid to purchase this cheaper grinder. The product's built with stainless steel, so it's not going to rust on you, at least not anytime soon. And it doesn't show any signs of wear or tear for me. I think I've done 4 to 5 animals so far with it in a period of 2 years, and I'd argue that for people like me who only process 1 to 2 animals a year, this is the way to go. It doesn't have a very big footprint at all. It's really small, and when I'm done with it, I literally just take it, put it in a Rubbermaid container, throw that thing in the garage, and then I don't have to see it until I've got an animal to process. So it's a perfect all-around product for me. I would not change anything differently about my purchase. I think it's going to handle anything I can throw at it. So to answer the question on what can this 500 watt grinder handle an entire elk, yes, it can, and it does so with ease. It was worth every single penny. If this video helped you guys out, please be sure to like it, be sure to share it, and leave me a comment below. I'll leave a link to the product in the description, and we may earn a small commission off of you. So if you really found it helpful, that would be a good way to pay us some money back. But thanks for watching. We'll bring some more videos to you as soon as possible.